Sevens for the first time ever here at Kyrgyzstan, but will this shower of rain make a big difference? All eyes on the starter. It's a clutch start. The official moves across the line. The board is watch the light, the edge forward, and not a good start for Aslam. In fact, a super look. There's the wheelie from Stephen Cull on the north, but it's Roger Burnett. Burnett from Stephen Cull, and there is Cull on the black Norton, and one or two people taking things a little bit carefully. Well, Roger Marshall here in the commentary box with me. One or two people a bit wary about the rain.
You're not wrong, Chris, and Aslan got a very bad start there, and also Robert Dunlop came out on Eddie Laycock's bike, so that's an interesting situation after he blew his spare bike up in practice.
And there is Stephen Cull in second spot, and up into the lead is Philip McCallan, the Ulsterman who's made a big name for himself on the Euro circuits around the world. And look at the pace of the Norton, but McCallan is not giving in. Side by side, wheel to wheel. Now this could be tricky, and McCallan leans on the fellow Ulsterman. He leaned on the Norton man, and that really was a brave piece of riding, Roger.
Oh, unbelievable. I mean, Stephen Cull held his line there, but McCallan went right round the outside of him. Incredible. And as Cull goes through now on the start and finish, and Burnett down in third place now.
So no substitutes for the torque and the horsepower of the North, but as I say, that McCallan, who's a brave boy, he really isn't going to give up. A tremendous ride. And that really is getting fairly desperate there. McCallan and Cull wheel to wheel, and the rest of the field at the moment forced to play second fiddle. 12 laps, remember, this race, and Cull, well, he's had just one outing so far this year on the North, thanks to a problem with trepanation. There goes Cull in the lead. McCallan is in second place. Then it's Roger Burnett behind him. No sign yet on the front three of Ron Haslam on the Pepsi Suzuki. Look at the Norton pull away, Roger. It's got Fred over there.
Speed down there, Chris. I couldn't believe the way it went, giving the local fans something incredible to talk about. McCallan on the brakes was just as impressive as Cull was down the straight there.
Well, probably more so, because Cull really just relying on the motor of the Norton. McCallan on bravery and technique, because it's got to be slippy out there.
It certainly has, and it'll be interesting to know if anybody went out on intermediate tyres in this race, because it's trying to look at McCallan again on the brakes there.
He's on the inside, Roger. That was the best line.
Absolutely perfect, Chris. The way he went through there, he's riding superb. He doesn't look at all hairy, and he's getting the power to the ground, where the Norton produces an awful lot of horsepower. Cull's having to be a little bit careful, the same as Haslam, I suspect. Haslam went through a couple of screens in practice and bust them, and the mechanics said they didn't want any more braking with all that horsepower.
Well, Philip McCallan, just a young man trying to make his mark on short circuits. There's Carl Fogarty, then Brian Morrison, Garrick down there, and Haslam, I think, in about 8th place there.
Yeah, incredible, Chris. I can't believe he's so low down at this stage. And look at McCallan again.
Back with the leaders. That's Philip McCallan out in front, behind him, Stephen Cull. Oh, and somebody went very wide. I think that was Burnett.
Yeah, it probably was, because Roger was actually closing on the first two. Oh, no, he's still there.
Well, it was somebody there with the...
It was Burnett, yeah. But Burnett is through.
And Cull now loses the place. So it's McCallan now from Carl Fogarty. Down to third place goes Cull. Maybe there's a problem with the North, because it's nowhere near as impressive as it was.
No, it didn't go down the straight there. I couldn't believe it then, Chris. He just lost a turn of speed there. Whether he missed a gear or something, I don't know. But it looks to be going okay again now.
Cull in third place. Behind him, Roger Burnett, the British boy on the HRC RC30 Honda. But we're back with the race leader, and Carl Fogarty, who survived a horrendous car accident earlier in the week. Battling away despite the bumps and the bruises. Brian Morrison, Garrick number 30. Haslam moving up just a little bit now, so he's on the charge. He's got a lot of work to do, though, if Mr. Haslam's going to win this one, Roger.
Yeah, I can't see him winning this one, Chris, at all at the moment. And the way Fogarty's pulling him in, I mean, McCallan in, Fogarty is the man of the moment, as we know, and he did an incredible time last week at Donington. He did a minute 37, which is GP 500 time.
And look at the back end of that RC30 of Carl Fogarty, twisting and complaining there again. Another mighty twitch.
Yeah.
Well, Fogarty's certainly trying, but the motorcycle and the rear tyre not appreciative of his efforts, Roger.
No, and Carl's on the Metzler tyres, which is one of the few runners who run on the big bikes on the Metzlers. So I'd imagine McCallan will be on either the Dunlops or the Michelin tyres, but Fogarty pulling him very close to McCallan now.
We are on the 5th of 12 laps. Plenty of time for Fogarty to do something. Plenty of time, for that matter, for Ron Haslam to get in the scene. Obviously, the track is drying out, and McCallan is still holding off Carl Fogarty, and really really is an impressive ride from McCallum. McCallum came to the forefront, of course, with his Manx Grand Prix performances, and then, of course, the Isle of Man TT.
Yeah, he's riding very well at the moment, and he's had a really good year in Northern Ireland as well. But look at Fogarty there, coming in close again. Oh, and Haslam's gone straight on there.
That's Ron Haslam, overshooting, trying hard to get back on the pace, and he's lost an awful lot of ground. Well, he wasn't the first man we saw overshoot, and we saw, in fact, Fogarty, seconds before that, get a real nasty slide on the back end. And Fogarty goes on the inside. Fogarty goes through on the inside to take the lead. So the boy from Blackburn in Lancashire, Carl Fogarty, now leads from Ulsterman, Philip McCallum. Fogarty from McCallum.
Fogarty getting an awful twitch on there, so he obviously means that he's going to go for it now. Probably already thought that Haslam was maybe coming up a bit quick, which he was, and if Ron hadn't made that mistake there, he would have soon been on the pace, but he's left himself an awful lot of work.
And McCallum has disappeared. We appear to have lost there. That's 14, that's George Farlow. Well, that really is very sad indeed. Farlow dislocated the shoulder early in the week and battling against doctors' wishes to be racing here. There is Steve Cole, that's Lee Norton. Great to see the British motorcycles back on the scene again and going so well, but McCallum was the man who disappeared a little bit from our picture, we thought there. We'll check on that in a moment. Cole, he, I think, is in third place. We'll just check with our lap scorer. And we have lost McCallum. It's Fogarty then, Steve Cole up into second place. We'll try and find out what happened to McCallum. McCallum down to seventh place, so whether he made mistakes. There's Cole in second spot, Burnett in third place, and well, Haslam getting back into the picture.
Yeah.
Roger, there's Cole, he's second ahead of Roger Burnett.
Yeah, and also Gary Cowan having a great ride there in the top six at the moment, so that's very impressive on a 250. And Burnett closing on full again, and Cowan closing on them, and Haslam's coming right back into the fray again after overshooting, and he's closing in all three of them.
There are 5 riders, and they are closing in, and look at Ron Haslam. That was superb. Just a bit of a glimpse there of the pace. Now, will he overshoot this time? No, a better line this time. Haslam tighter going through. There's Brian Morrison. There is Phil McCallum, I think it was. And Cole, Burnett behind them. Haslam. 1, 2nd, 3rd and 4th. And the 2nd, 3rd and 4th men closing up. And Haslam is not out of this by any manner of means. Haslam, 33 years of age. And Burnett goes through on the inside, trying to pass. There is Fogarty, the leader. Burnett through to second place. Cole holds on to third spot. Haslam leading one side, then the other. Oh dear, did you see the Suzuki there, Roger?
Yeah, I nearly jumped off my chair, Chris. An incredible twitch there. 150 brake horsepower there at the back wheel, and Ron's having an awful lot to hold that bike there because it's very bumpy on this circuit, and the track's drying now, so he'll be trying extra hard.
In the main, the riders all on full wet tyres, and as the track dries out, Roger, that's not going to be the most perfect of combinations.
No, I was quite surprised when they all went out on wets. I thought somebody might have took a chance, one of the top runners, and gone out on intermediates, because and Burnett goes very wide there, and he's let Haslam through into second place, so Haslam up now to second place, doing a great job there. Oh, Ron gets another slide off the start and finish, but he holds it.
Haslam then in second place, Burnett in third spot, Cole there in fourth place. All the time, though, Carl Fogarty is out in front and the chase is on to catch him. Well, Fogarty has exactly the same problems that the men behind do, and that is they're running on full wet, shredded tyres, and as the track dries out, it's going to be more and more difficult.
And there's an interesting situation, a 250 in front of the JPS Norton.
Gary Cowan on the 250, having gone ahead there of the Norton of Stephen Cole. There was the leader going through, Haslam through the chicane, then Burnett, then Gary Cowan, then Stephen Cole.
Interesting situation now. Can Haslam catch Fogarty after Fogarty's made a good break right from the beginning and pulled a nice lead? And now it'll be very interesting to see this GP star, see if he can move up.
Well, Steve Cole used the Norton's pace to get ahead of Gary Cowan, and Gary Cowan simply outrode him by going through on the brakes on the inside. So it's Fogarty on the RC30 Honda, the 750 4-stroke Honda, being chased by Ron Haslam on the 500 2-stroke Grand Prix Pepsi Suzuki. They've done now 9 laps. They're on their 10th, so just over 2 laps to go.
And I'll probably have to eat my words. I said Haslam wouldn't do it, but he's closing in very quick now on Fogarty, and he's looking good on these last 2 laps.
Well, I think we're in for a grandstand finish, because Fogarty in practice got down into the low 58s, Haslam a record-breaking high 57s, but we know they can both go very... And Gary Cowan up into third place. Ahead now, Roger Burnett, Steve Cole and Brian Morrison, and that is absolutely fabulous.
That is incredible, Chris. I mean, he's a GP star, as we know, Gary Cowan, and to pull the stops out on these big bikes like he is doing, with these couple of long straights in it, is absolutely incredible.
And the gap now between the race leader and Ron Haslam, something less than 50 yards, and you saw the Suzuki twist and complain, and Fogarty knows that he's being chased, he knows he's being caught. They've now completed 10 laps. 2 more laps to go, And can Fogarty hang on? Well, he might, but Haslam's getting closer and closer and closer.
And we'll certainly see a turn of speed here as they're coming up towards the chicane just before the back straight. And we'll see if Haslam can close in on him.
Well, they're both riding on an old edge, like trying to walk on sheet ice on leather sole shoes, isn't it, at the moment down there, Roger?
It certainly is, and by now the back rear tyres will be breaking up a little bit because the track's drying and it'll be ripping them apart, as well as the slippery bits of track will be catching them out as well.
So for both men, the problem is, and Haslam bobbing out of the... Oh, and he just flies back Fogarty. Now that will be a little bit like a red rag to a bull, Roger.
It certainly will, because Carl, I know he doesn't like losing and he'll want to win, he'll want to keep his form up, but I hope he doesn't do anything silly against such incredible bike with so much horsepower.
They're on the final lap. This is the 12th and final lap. Haslam now out in front. He was down in 8th place, remember, early on, and suddenly the Grand Prix star, the Grand Prix man, finished once again, as he does every year, in the top 10 of the 500 World Championship, showing his paces. So
certainly a good ride, Chris, by Ron. I mean, a lot of people give him a lot of stick at the GP, but he flies a flag for England, and when it comes down to a circuit like this, you just see the style and flair that he's got.
And the experience, of course. Haslam coming up to pass a couple of tail enders, and that will give Fogarty a chance to close the gap on him, but... and Haslam safely past one, and, well, yes, on the inside, safely past the other.
Haslam's coming up.
And Haslam then, big wheelie over the line, the checkered flag goes out. Ron Haslam then, the winner, superb victory in the second place. Carl Fogarty, good ride from him, and what a performance from Gary Cowan on the 250 Dock Shop machine to take third place ahead of Roger Bennett and Steve Cull. But first blood, first victory for Ron Haslam.
Ron Haslam, many congratulations, but dare I say you did it the hard way.
Yeah, wet conditions. I'd not really tested in the wet, and I'm a bit too cautious at the beginning, and they seemed to get away a little bit. But once I got to grips with it and found out where the slippy bits were, I was all right after that.
And looking at the overtaking of Carl Fogarty, the Suzuki was really fast.
Yeah, the machine is really quick compared to the others. It's a Grand Prix bike, and it's one of the top Grand Prix bikes, so it's a really good machine.
Looking forward to the rest of the day.
Yeah, hope it dries up. Now I've had a wet one, I'd like a dry one, so get a bit more fun out of it then.
Okay, Ron, thanks a lot. Well done.
Thank you.
So, as I said, our reporter, Edward Smith, was in the pit area looking for some colourful personnel.
We are certainly looking forward to this one. Thank you very much indeed. And what a lineup once again we've got for this Sunflower Trophy race. Ron Haslam, who had to come charging through from the back once again in pole position, shattering the lap record in practice in the dry. Well, he wasn't able to do that in the wet, but the track good now. Further along the front row of the grid, number 0, that's Steve Cull on the JPS Norton. Next to him, number 4, Carl Fogarty, who had that tremendous battle with Ron Haslam in the first senior race, and we expect Fogarty to be up there again. 30, Gary Cowan on the 250, did so well, a man definitely not to be ignored in the equation. Roger Burnett on the 750 HRC Honda, and completing the front row of the grid, the Dubliner, number 1, Eddie Laycock on the 500 Honda. Well, this one over 12 laps once again. Haslam, everyone in fact on slick tyres, a whole different ball game to the first race. They're watching the lights change, and away they go, and this time a much better start for Ron Haslam, wheeling his way, but he does it in the front first. Carl Fogarty once again makes an excellent start. Fogarty out in front, Ron Haslam in second place. It's Fogarty who leads, Carl Fogarty on the 750 Honda, the Appleby Glade Honda. Ron Haslam in second spot, the rest of the pack trying to sort a path through the general melee. Looks to me like Roger Burnett there in third place, I would say, Roger.
Yes, that is Roger Burnett in third, Chris. Carl, like you said, made a superb start.
Fogarty, Haslam, then Burnett, then that's Philip McCallan, I think, up in fourth spot. Now McCallan we saw up with the leaders early on. He hit problems halfway through that first senior race. Roger, what was the problem?
The same as he had at Mondello the week before. He missed a gear, it went into neutral, like when you don't get a gear in your car, and he run on the grass and nearly fell off.
Well, McCallan making a better start this time, hoping for better things, and look at Haslam winding up the wing, closes onto the rear tyre of Carl Fogarty, and Ron Haslam looks as though he's got the pace and the motorcycle to get ahead when he wants to. He closed the gap like a rocket ship onto the rear tyre of Carl Fogarty, and again you saw what 150 brake horsepower does when you've whacked the power down onto a patch of rubber, well, as big as your hand, isn't it, Roger?
Yes, Chris. I mean, the bike that Ron's on is producing all that horsepower on about a 3-inch patch of rubber when he's got it lent on its side, so, you know, it takes some controlling.
Laycock in 4th place behind Philip McCallum. Andy McGladdery all the way from the northeast, Darlington, in 5th place on Francis Steel Motors RC30 Honda. The rest of the pack. Oh, and somebody goes, has a bit of an excursion in the. That was the scenic route, Roger, there.
Yeah, I should say he was pleased to get away with that, because he nearly run right up to the grass first.
Fogarty then, still holding on grimly to the lead. Ron Haslam on the 500. Pepsi is the Suzuki, the 4-cylinder 2-stroke Grand Prix machine. Then Roger Burnett still up there. I think there was Eddie Laycock moving ahead of McCallum to go to 4th. But there is Ron Haslam. Number 8, he's in 2nd place at the moment. Fogarty, number 4. 8 at number 8 is Haslam. And you can see the lead now that the front 2 men have stretched over 3rd, 4th and 5th men. Still Roger Burnett from Lincolnshire. Former mechanic of the man alongside me, Roger Marshall, and Burnett goes wide, and that gave McCallum a chance to go through on the inside, but McCallum wasn't quite close enough to take advantage of it. Fogarty still leads from Haslam, and Burnett very, very close to throwing away 3rd place. A bit of a bad mistake there from your ex-mechanic, Roger.
Yeah, he said in the first race with the rain he found it very difficult to judge the braking there, and he's probably tried to brake a little bit later and a little bit later, and he just overshot the corner a little.
And Fogarty, who wasn't able to hold off Haslam in the first race, well, he's making a better job of it this time.
Yes, and I think Fogarty is a little bit happier to be on the dry tyres, the slick tyres with no tread, because in the wet he said he changed the gearing, and he's not happy at all with the Metzler on the rear.
Fogarty, Haslam shadowing him then. Coming round to complete 4 laps, so 8 more laps to go then, and Haslam goes past. It was just like applying the afterburner, wasn't it?
Unbelievable, Chris. I mean, that GP motorcycle is some machine, isn't it? It's incredible. He just turns the power on with the throttle and just seems to be able to stand it on the back wheel or do anything with it.
Well, Haslam, you can see the front wheel pouring the air as Haslam winds on the power, and the bike wants to loop on the back axle. Again, the front wheel just, well, more in the air than on the floor, and Haslam has just destroyed the opposition. Whether Fogarty has hit problems, we don't know, but certainly Haslam has just stretched an enormous advantage. Well, where is Fogarty? Fogarty's out. Fogarty's touring. There he is. Carl Fogarty in trouble. Well, it's been a meeting that he won't forget. Last week he was involved in a very, very nasty road accident and was lucky to escape. And there's the gap, there's the leader going out of picture. Now, who is he going to be for 2nd place? Roger Burnett in 2nd spot at the moment. Phil McCallum in 3rd place behind him. Then Eddie Laycock in 4th spot. There's McCallum, there's Eddie Laycock. Looks to me like Brian Morrison, I think, or maybe Andy McGladdery in 4th place. There's the race leader. There is Haslam, the race leader. Now, this is the gap. That is how much distance he's put between the rest. There's Roger Burnett in 2nd place, then McCallum, then Eddie Laycock, then Brian Morrison, then Gary Cowan, then it was Andy McGladdery up there. David Leach on the Wiley & Holland Yamaha, well down at the moment. He's had a good season racing mainly in Northern Ireland, but not here. There's Burnett 2nd, McCallum and Eddie Laycock. Eddie Laycock trying so hard to close.
I think for the local interest as well, Chris, it's a shame that the Norton's not showing a bit more pace with Stephen Culloch. I know he had a tyre problem himself in the first one, but whether he's got an engine problem this time, I don't know, but he's fair way behind this pack that we're watching now. Well, indeed, one of the problems with the Norton is it is so powerful, it literally just chews up rear tyres, no matter how hard a compound they put down, don't they? Well, Burnett there, he's in 2nd place. Haslam well out on his own, and look at the battle behind. McCallum, then Laycock. Brian Morrison now ahead of Gary Cowan. Then Andy McGladdery. Then Robert Dunlop. Then number 7, David Leach. He's trying to get back on terms with that group. There is the race leader. And the front wheel just gently rises into the air. 33 years of age, Ron Haslam, married with 2 children. Both his children here to watch, and his wife, Anne Haslam. Burnett in 2nd place, and this is a very good ride from Roger Burnett. There's a lot of pressure, a lot of challenge behind, some very good men on some very good motorcycles, and a change there. Oh no,
Well, that was Gary Cowan who was giving Eddie Laycock a hard time. Cowan on the 250, Laycock on the 500 Honda. And look at that little three-way group at the left of the picture there. They're battling for 4th, 5th and 6th place, and really getting very, very ferocious. Burnett through the chicane. Then Philip McCallum. Then Eddie Laycock. Cowan is there. Brian Morrison. Well, Brian Morrison, what, just over a year ago, or a little bit more than a year ago, was unbeatable, Roger Marshall, wasn't he?
Yeah, I think Brian is pleased to be starting to come back to a bit of form after his win the other week, but he has been off form this year, and the TT didn't do him any good at all. He come back as a good friend of mine, and he's had bike trouble, but he did have a win at Mallory, and I thought he might be up front today, but he's struggling a little bit.
The order, there's Roger Burnett. And there's Brian Morrison, who's got ahead of Gary Cowan, the distinctive Lilo. And look at Cowan throw on the inside on the brakes. Oh, a superb piece of riding by Gary Cowan. And Brian Morrison could do nothing about it. Totally offline. What a great run. Cowan goes back. Eddie Laycock as well.
Oh.
2 riders in less than 300 yards, Roger.
Oh, that's unbelievable, Chris. Just the way he went through there is incredible on the brakes.
And now, Gary Cowan on the 250. He's got Philip McCallum in his sights. And you wouldn't lay any money on him not passing Philip McCallum.
You certainly wouldn't, Chris. I mean, look at the speed of these bikes against 250. Man, he's holding his own very well, but look at Laycock on an XGP 500.
And number 15, that was Andy McFadder. He just wheeling out, and there's this battle. 3 abreast, and Gary Cowan did him again on riding. He just outbraked them. He'd lost out down the back straight. They went past him like rocket ships, and there they go again. But it's only until the next corner, Roger.
I think there's probably a bit of pride at stake here, don't you, Chris? I mean, 250 diving under you.
Well, yes, it's the sort of thing where you could be pushed into making a mistake here, and I don't think it's Gary Cowan who's going to make the mistake. McCallum, number 17. And Gary Cowan wants to go round him. Gary Cowan goes round him. McCallum on the inside. Cowan went round him. Well, Roger Marshall, what can you say about this 250 boy?
Really superb. I'm having a job sitting in the seat here, Chris. I mean, the way he just went round Philip there was totally unbelievable.
And would you believe it, Gary Cowan is up to 3rd place, not for long. The 250 just hasn't got the legs, but he outbreaks them all again. And McCallum now, oh no, that was Brian Morrison, I think, who wanted to be brave. Well, Gary Cowan will not give in. He's riding more smoothly, more intelligently, and certainly more bravely than any of those men with him.
I think he's pushed some of them into making the odd mistake there, Chris. I mean, they realise he's on a small engine, 250, and they're all on 750cc engines with a lot more horsepower.
They are on the 11th lap in this 12th lap battle. There was Eddie Laycock, and we're back now with the race leader, who is coming round just a couple of 100 yards to go to start his 12th and final circuit. Ron Haslam, one of the nicest men in racing, and you can see the lead. He's just destroyed the opposition. It's been a one-man show, but what a battle it's been behind. There goes Haslam. Just 1 lap to go now for Ron Haslam on the Pepsi Suzuki. Haslam, a very, very, very good race leader, and we're back with the battle behind Roger Burnett, and that looks like Gary Cowan, who wants to be snapping at his heels on this final circuit. Roger, can a 250 beat Roger Burnett and take 2nd place?
Well, Gary Cowan got a 3rd in the first senior race today, and he's got right up to Burnett. Obviously, he's going to have to try and catch a little bit of his slipstream. That means tucking him behind the bike, down the back straight, and probably outbrake him if he can.
He'll want to tow, won't he, down the back straight? He'll want to be pulled along by the wind by Roger Burnett in 2nd place. We're back with the leader, Ron Haslam. When he looks over his shoulder, I think you can keep looking for about 30 seconds, Ron, to see where the next man is. And it really has been a tremendous victory. The checkered flag goes out. Now, is Cowan going to take 2nd place? That's the question we ask. Round the last corner for the final time, and Burnett will have it on the legs with the Honda. Roger Burnett takes 2nd place. Gary Cowan finishes in 3rd spot. And what a superb ride. Brian Morrison is in 4th place. Philip McCallum is in 5th spot. And Eddie Laycock is in 6th place. But this race belongs to that man, Ron Haslam. Steve Cull on the JPS Norton can show exactly what he's made of. A depleted grid, but certainly the quality is there, even if the quantity isn't, Roger.
It certainly is, Chris.
So, just waiting to get Steve Cull's Norton fired up. They're on the front row of the grid, all eyes on the line. This will be a 12-lapper. There is Haslam. Haslam then looking for the hat-trick, and a bit of a ragged start, but Haslam not too badly away, and I think it's going to be the Norton. It is Steve Cull on the Norton who makes it. Roger Burnett in 2nd place, and Ron Haslam, well, oh goodness gracious me, That was Gary Cowan. Gary Cowan who storms through to take the lead. That really was incredible.
I mean, he's just riding so good, isn't he, Chris? I mean, he just outbraked the Norton like it was going backwards. It's hard to believe.
He's on the crest of the wave. He's had some good rides, and would you believe that in this senior race, a 250 Yamaha leads. He leads the Norton, then Brian Morrison, then Roger Burnett. And we're looking there. Would you believe it is Ron Haslam of the Pepsi Suzuki? It must have been in about 10th place, Roger.
It certainly was, Chris. He made a bad start on the first left-hander. He got in the middle of the pack and there was nowhere for him to go, so he's got a lot of work.
Brian Morrison beginning to put some pressure on second place man Steve Cole. There, going round the hairpin as the leader goes over the start-finish line was Ron Haslam. And it is incredible that Gary Cowan, who took the lead about 1/3 of the opening lap into the front, is still out in front.
Ron Haslam there, Chris, was looking down at the rear end of the motorcycle, so whether he's got a problem maybe with the tyre, we'll have to wait and see.
No problem for this man. Gary Cowan out in front on the second and 12 laps. And he's pulling away from the opposition. Absolutely incredible. Steve Cole, then Brian Morrison, then Roger Burnett, then it was Phil McCallum, and there's Eddie Laycock. Oh, and a bit of a problem there for number 27, Steve Haslett. Well, at the end of the race for Steve Haslett, only his pride injured, though, I'm glad to say. Steve Cole in second place, Brian Morrison. There is, well, that's George Farlow going straight on, and he's riding with a dislocated shoulder, so not really surprised, I think, Roger.
Yeah, George Farlow, he's had some problems today. He's had an engine seizure on his 3-cylinder, and I just wonder if it seized maybe coming down the straight into that corner and he had to go straight on.
And word from the pits is that Eddie Laycock has just pulled out, so end of the race for the Dubliner. No problems, no worries at all, though, for Gary Cowan. And really, you begin to ask whether anyone's going to catch him, Roger.
I just can't believe this, Chris. I mean, he's got the HRC Works bikes behind him, he's got the Norton behind him, he's on a 250.
And Steve Cole on the Norton, and another one. We were depleted on the start line, and they are dropping out like flies. And still, the 250 of Gary Cowan is out in front. He goes around the hairpin. Brian Morrison up into second place, and Roger Burnett made a complete mess of that little corner there.
Yeah, he certainly did, Chris. Obviously, he was trying to get up with Gary Cowan, who's leading, and make some impact, but he left the brakes a little too late and maybe locked the front wheel a little bit and had to let the brake up again and go really wide.
Ron Haslam in 8th place at the moment, the man looking for his hat-trick, but well, he's got a lot of duty to catch up the race leader, I'll tell you that. There is Phil McCallum in 3rd place, behind him Roger Burnett. Gary Cowan, then Brian Morrison, then Phil McCallum, then Roger Burnett. Haslam moving ahead of another place. Dave Leach was the man who lost 1 place. Roger Burnett looking for the inside line. Is that Patrick van der Voorburg? Behind Burnett. It looked like the second dock shot machine.
It did, yeah, and just in front of Burnett, Philip McCallum was nearly making the same mistake as Burnett did the lap before by over-braking.
So, the dock shot Yamaha, just a 250cc motorcycle, leads the 750 Honda of Brian Morrison. Then it's McCallum and Burnett. And Haslam is now, whatever the problems were, he's talking about Morrison, the Scotsman. He had such a wonderful season last year from Kirkcaldy in 28 years of age. Now, can he catch Gary Cowan? Can he get ahead? Can he win this one? It's a long time since Brian Morrison had a big win this year.
It is, Chris. One of the only wins he's had was at the race of the year at Mallory Park in the last 1000cc race. I'm pleased that Brian's coming back on form. He hasn't had a good year. He's had a lot of engine problems, but he's looking good in this one. But I think Haslam's going to be the danger man still. Now, if he had a problem, well, it's all sorted out now.
5 laps gone as Brian Morrison hits the front. Morrison leads from Gary Cowan, but only for a fraction of a second, because as Brian Morrison thought about going into the right-hander, Gary Cowan had done it.
Well, if there was an award for late braking, Gary Cowan would get it, because he's going into the end of that start and finish straight. Unbelievable. He's just leaving his brakes off till the very last minute and stopping that little 250 beautifully.
The 250, of course, much lighter than the 750, Roger, but nowhere near so powerful. Hasn't got the acceleration.
He certainly hasn't, and you've still got to pull that 250 up, I know, but you haven't got the weight of the big bike. But there's Morrison showing us how much speed he's got.
And Cowan going through on the inside. And Gary Cowan says, well, you can be as quick as you like down straight sunshine, but you're not going to be as quick as me into and round the corners. And look at them, both flat on the tank. They both mean business. Over the line they go again. 6 laps gone, the halfway stage in this race. 6 laps gone, 6 to go. And again, Gary Cowan does it in exactly the same place. And Brian Morrison must be livid.
He must be wondering what he has to do to get away from Gary Cowan, because Gary Cowan can really stop that 250. Like you said, Chris, it's not so heavy, so it's a lot easier to pull up when you put the brakes on. Morrison's got twice the weight there, with his bike being a 4-stroke and having 4 cylinders.
And that looks to me like Ronald McDonald Haslam, the Grand Prix star, in 3rd place, and Morrison goes past Cowan. Cowan will look for the inside line, and Cowan goes back again, and Cowan regains the lead, and Morrison wants to be brave, but both of them are in for the shot. Well, it's not a shot, because they were... Oh, and look at the rear end of Ron Haslam's Suzuki, and Haslam has arrived. I warned you he was going to arrive. He was charging up through the field. There is Cowan in 1st place. Brian Morrison is in 2nd place. And, well, they're about to take the Pepsi Taste Challenge, I think, any minute now, Roger.
Yeah, well, obviously Ron's got the right bike for the job with it being a Grand Prix bike, but he's certainly putting a great show on for everybody here today, and it's super to see him riding it so hard and wheeling everywhere. It's fantastic.
Let's take nothing away, though, from these two men in front of him. Ron Haslam is catching them. Ron Haslam is going to catch them. Ron Haslam almost certainly will pass them. But what a ride from Gary Cowan and Brian Morrison. Brian Morrison, look at the pace of the Suzuki, and Cowan again goes for the inside line, and Ron's trying to pass all of them round the outside. Well, that was truly impressive. Cowan leads, Morrison next, Ron Haslam passes them all with a wheelie. 7 laps gone, 8 laps gone, let's get it right, 8 laps gone, 4 more laps to go, and Ron Haslam, and Cowan's going to pass them both. Gary Cowan, no respecter of authority, age, experience, or wealth, and I say wealth in terms of cost of motorcycle, because that 500 Suzuki in 2nd place, well, how much would that cost to buy, Roger Marshall?
Well, if you wanted that particular one of Haslam's today, you'd probably have to pay 100 to 200,000 for it. It must be worth that much.
And Gary Cowan on basically a production Yamaha. Oh, and look at Haslam saying, don't play silly so-and-sos with me, thank you very much indeed. And Cowan says, well, no, yes, not this time, and the tail ender gets in the way. And Ron Haslam has to go wide if he wants it. And Gary Cowan almost went through on the inside again. Ron Haslam will not be allowed to doze. He won't be allowed to take things easily. Well, I think if anyone before this meeting, Roger, had told you that Gary Cowan on a 250 Yamaha would be the man who was going to give Ron Haslam a hard time in any of the open races, you would have said he was insane.
Well, I would have bet everything I own that it wouldn't be possible, Chris. And he's demonstrating that it can be done on a 250 today. We've seen the speeds at Grand Prix and on British circuits creep down the 250 times, and he's proving today that a 250 nearly on the right circuit can keep up with them.
And Ron Haslam looking for the showtime, looking for the wheelies, not got the pace, but look at the Yamaha come back, the others put on the brakes, while Cowan is still accelerating. Haslam leads, Cowan goes back into 2nd place, Morrison is 3rd, they are coming round to complete 10 laps, 2 more laps to go, and Haslam wheelies half the length from the start and finish straight. Morrison goes back into 2nd place, but I wouldn't hold your breath, Brian. And again, Cowan does it again. And they close on Haslam.
I think Ron is obviously enjoying himself now, but he's going to have to be ever so careful on the last corner if he's wheeling on the back straight, because Cowan certainly won't give in.
And Cowan was again looking for that inside line, but that was the line that Ron Haslam had got. Well, this is the first non-World Championship race meeting that Ron Haslam has been able to ride in this year, and I'm sure he never thought that Gary Cowan would be giving him a hard time in it. Ron Haslam thoroughly enjoying himself. He likes riding in Northern Ireland. He's ridden in the Northwest. Oh, and Cowan going through on the inside, and Morrison forced to move over. Cowan didn't give him any choice then, did he? We're coming up to the start of the 11th of the 12th and final lap. 1 lap to go, Roger.
This is incredible stuff, the way Cowan's outbraking Brian. I don't think Brian knows what to do next. Here he goes again, showing the lightweight bike how he can stop it.
Gary Cowan up into 2nd place again, after just a few yards away from them. Cowan riding superbly. Let's take nothing away from Brian Morrison, though, of course, on the 750 Honda. More cubic capacities, but heavier. Probably a little bit slower, maybe out of the corners. And if Haslam noses too much, Cowan could have it. There's a tail ender in the way, and Ron Haslam can't afford to nose. The slower man, Haslam, goes past. Cowan, chin on the tank, doesn't want to lose any pace down the back straight. And Morrison, oh, Cowan goes through on the inside again. Oh, and he goes wide. He makes a mistake, and he may pay for it. Haslam is going to win. Who is going to be second? Haslam wins. The sprint is onto the line. And I really would like to say maybe Morrison. We think it was Morrison. Gary Cowan is 3rd. Well, what a superb race to bring this wonderful Kirkestone meeting to an end. Ron Haslam the winner, Brian Morrison takes second place, and Gary Cowan, a brave fighting Gary Cowan, takes third spot.
Right, Ron Haslam on the